And good morning, and welcome to another edition of Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and we have a star-studded 2 hours of news and information. And we are the show that hears your truth, that becomes our power. So we look forward to, talking with you for the next couple hours. And I've got a very special guest here in the studio with me today, a longtime friend, a good friend. And if she's not your friend, she should be your friend. But her name is Miss Kimberly Cooley. But before we get started, I just want to, say something too, because I know we're going to be joined in a minute by Mr. Ken Scott in a few minutes. But just want to make a quick announcement real quick. First off is that Unity Mission Church, a good friend of mine, Dr. Sabina Taylor, she and I worked back at Sampson Weber years past, where she was a teacher and I was a counselor there. And she's now the pastor at Unity Mission Church. And that's located right at, I have to put my cheaters on for a minute. That's located right at 1335 Oakman Boulevard in Detroit. And they're having a holiday fish fry today, December the 6th, from 12 o'clock until 4 o'clock. And they're going to be serving catfish and whiting dinners. And you got your choice of a couple of sides: homemade spaghetti, mac and cheese, baked beans, a ground turkey, veggie salad. And the donation is only $15 for 2 pieces of fish, or $18 for 3 pieces of fish. And then they have pop that's available as well as cake. But I went there a few months ago, and when they had one, and the food was phenomenal. And not only did they have theirs that day, but I believe also Oak Grove had their famous fish fry that they do. And, I went from one to support the other. But the fish there at Unity Mission Church was phenomenal. I mean, it is, as the phrase goes, it was finger looking good. And you got great people there. You got a great pastor that, her son and her deacons and everyone else at the church, very hospitable. But again, that's my good friend, Dr. Sabina Taylor. And she will make certain that you get your tummy satiated and satisfied with this good food that they have there. So again, please, if you can come out and support them, please do. And it's right there on Oakman, almost across the street from Focus Hope, but right there at 14th and Oakman. So again, they're having fish, catfish dinners, and whiting, and look forward to, seeing you come out and get some good food. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to keep another good friend of mine, Ms. Cassie Amos. I want you to keep her lifted up in prayer. She's having a surgical procedure today. So please keep her lifted up in prayer. She's been on the Truth to Power show before. She's a poet, and she has some great poetry readings that she did with us a couple of months ago. So definitely keep her lifted up in your prayers for a surgical procedure that she's going to have this morning. As you know, we want to make certain that all our prayer warriors keep everybody lifted up, in prayer for whatever they've got going on with them. So the other thing I just want to say real quick before I get to, Kimberly and to Ken is that, how about them Lions? We've had a lot of seasons where we were not really as excited about the Detroit Lions as we are this season. Last season, we had a great run. Lions almost made they were 1 game away from making the Super Bowl. But this year, the Lions are 12-1, and they won 11 games in a row. So the destiny, as what Dan Campbell, the coach, said in the locker room last night, was that when you look at what the Lions' destiny is this season, they're not expected to do anything less than appearing in the Super Bowl, competing in the Super Bowl, and to win the Super Bowl. Anything less, the fans would be really disappointed because they're all anticipating a Super Bowl bound Detroit Lions team. And the Lions keep on winning. Unfortunately, the wins come with losses when it comes to their players that have gone down to injury. As a lot of people know about Aiden Hutchinson. I forgot how you say his name, but he's the gentleman that has the long blonde hair. But they're losing a lot of their, especially their defensive players. And we got to keep them lifted up in prayer for a speedy and a complete recovery, and hope and pray that they don't come back too soon. I know there are some players that are out on injury reserve, because I think from my understanding, we've got the most people on injury reserve than any other team, in America. But the one good thing that I'm really liking about the Lions right now is that the Lions fan base is phenomenal. I mean, to have fans to travel all over the country to be a part of a game, especially those that went to Houston. And I mean, Houston's not right around the corner. They went to Texas and they saw a huge fan base supporting the Lions when the Lions played Houston. And now, with the Lions, they've got a little time to rest. They've got about 12 days that they'll have to kind of restore, recovery, and rejuvenate, their injured players, and to give their players that are not injured a little chance to kind of get a little bit of a rest. They've got 12 days to get a chance to kind of relax and restore and rest. So we're hoping that during that time that they will have a lot of people that will probably, have a chance to go and be available because they've got a grueling next couple of games, especially Buffalo, because Buffalo is in the hunt also for a Super Bowl as well. So, and then they've got Minnesota. Those are the two teams that I think that are probably going to be the most challenging for the Lions in their quest to make it to the Super Bowl. But the good thing about the Lions right now is that the Lions control their own destiny. And that's what we haven't had in the past. Usually we've had to hope that teams would lose or other teams would win to get the Lions even into the playoffs. The one thing that we know this season is that the win last night ensured that the Lions would be in the playoffs. Now, where they stand in the playoffs, that's still to be determined. Whether or not they'll have home game advantage throughout the playoffs, that still is yet to be determined. Because as everybody knows, there's more games that the Lions have to play, but they have to keep winning. And with that, I believe we may be joined by Mr. Ken Scott. So, Ken, are you available on the Truth to Power show? Ken Scott, I'll let you give your little introduction as to who you are for the few people that might not know who Ken Scott is. But Ken Scott, who are you, Ken Scott? What do you do in the community? and then we'll talk a little bit about Lions football.
All right, my name is Ken Scott. I'm a real estate broker for CSW Real Estate, past president of the Detroit Association of Realtors and the Greater Detroit Realtors Association.
All right.
And a housing counselor for HUD.
Okay. And I'll just ask you real quick. I'll let you get a little shameless plug in. Is there something that you got going on? Just one event that you got upcoming during this Christmas season?
No events at this time, but I look forward to announcing it at a later date.
All right. Sounds good. So, Ken Scott, what about those Lions? What did you think of the game last night?
I expected them to win. They won. They won in the Lions style, being risk takers, being the patience of the Lions always amazes me. Dan Campbell as well as Brad Holmes, they have put together an incredible team, and they keep, with the injuries that have taken place over the last 3 or 4 weeks, they keep putting pieces in place. It's just like a chess game to them. They're putting the pieces in place as they need them in order to make the move that they need to make, especially on the defense. They have been incredible on the defense. Obviously, our offense is stellar, but at the same time, as it relates to the defense, when they plug those pieces in, they know whether that person is going to fit within their system, within their character, within their understanding of what they want to accomplish, and it keeps working. I don't think I've ever seen such a strategic way of looking at football than I've seen with the Lions over the last few years under Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes.
Well, now, there's always the upside to a winning season, and then there's always the other side to the winning season. And as I know, I had Leland Stein, I had Keith Bennett on the show a few weeks ago, and we were talking sports. And one of the things that we were talking about is the Lions have some great, great assistant coaches.
Absolutely.
And you and I have talked about this before, Ken. Who do you think that the Lions will be able to maintain and keep next season, and who do you think may be gone? Because there's going to be several vacancies in other coaching arenas. But who do you think is going to be gone, and who do you think the Lions will be able to retain?
Well, I'm hoping neither one is gone. As it relates to Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn.
Aaron Glenn coaches the defense,
and Ben Johnson the offense.
Okay.
I would hope to retain both of them, but at the same time, I think it might be unlikely to do either one, and that's going to have an impact on the 2025 season. But at the same time, pardon me?
No, go ahead. You're good.
At the same time, I think if we can retain either one, then we have a chance to have this organization in a place where we've never even contemplated them being. And that's being a, a perennial NFC champion, possibly a opportunity to go to the Super Bowl multiple times. But at the same time, like I said, if we can retain them, if we can't, and I mean, the possibilities are endless. I mean, there are firings, there are teams that are having bad situations, but at the same time, it has to be conducive for them. Ben Johnson had an opportunity to leave, and he chose to come back. I don't know what his rationale was, but at the same time, hopefully, he will still use that same rationale as building this team to the extent that it should, and having consistency throughout the years.
Yeah, because I think they were talking about.
Let me say this about Aaron Glenn. Aaron Glenn has done a masterful job. Like I was talking about as far as fitting the pieces in on a chessboard and what have you. I don't think you could have gotten a better, masterful job than what Aaron Glenn has done as it relates to the defensive line, the ends, the cornerbacks, the safeties. I mean, I have one contention with one corner, and I won't even mention his name and everything because I hope he's going to improve over the next few years. But at the same time, if that situation remains the same or they build on what they already have, the Lions are going to have an incredible run over the next 3 to 5 years.
Well, as you were saying, I think the main thing that I see that Aaron Glenn has done is Aaron Glenn has lost pieces to the puzzle.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to allude to the same thing, the puzzle.
And he has found replacement pieces for the puzzle. And that's the thing that he's doing a masterful job at.
Not only found the pieces, but they fit.
Yeah, well, that's usually in the, if you want the puzzle pieces to replace, you got to make sure that it fits, back into the place. But it's fitting to the point to where you're not losing what the puzzle is to display, and to display a team that has the chemistry that the Lions have. And I see, Ken, that the Lions have all the people, the personnel, and there's no big I's and little U's. Everybody plays as we. And you don't have the people that want to be the superstars on the Lions team. I think the media may hype them, but it's not going to their heads. When I listen to the press conferences, the post-game speeches that the Goffs, the Amon St. Roz, and and other players have, they're always complimenting others. They're not looking at just saying I had or I did or my, they're saying we. It's a team.
Exactly.
And last night, just let me say this, last night, they were complimenting the coach. And that's a rarity sometimes, to have all the players in harmony with what the coach and decisions that the coach made with personnel and with play calling. But go ahead.
Absolutely. Like we've spoken several times before. The Detroit Lions of this year and last year, actually, but the last 2 years resemble so much like the 2004 Pistons championship team. There was no little people or no big people. They were just people that were assembled to attain a task. And that task was get to the championship game and win it. And I don't think with what the Pistons have done in 2004 and the Lions are doing over the last 2 years, it's not not an ego thing. It's we're a team, and we know our capacity. We know our leadership skills. We know our what our plays are, and we implement them to the best of our ability. And they have done that. They have exceeded my expectations well beyond what I expected of this year. Last year was a fantastic year. This year was they're just blowing the charts off. And they're even thinking about Dan Campbell as coach of the year. And I believe he was coach of the year last year with, I forgot, he and Brad Holmes were coach of the year and general manager of the year. And this year, if last year was a barometer of what they could do, then this year they've exceeded expectations a great deal.
Well, we know, Ken, that you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan. And,
absolutely.
We know
I'm a Detroit Lions fan as well. See, people get that kind of twisted. I love both teams. Last year they had a chance to play each other twice, and I was really torn. But at the same time, Kansas City Chiefs represent my hometown. Detroit represents my home. and I've never gotten it twisted. I've always cheered for them vehemently. So don't get it twisted. I love both teams.
So I'm gonna ask you before we
and
get
they
ready.
both have the best record in the NFL on their respective divisions.
Yeah, I'm glad you put that caveat. I'm glad you put that caveat in there because the Lions have still got one more win than the Chiefs have, but the Lions, have played more games. Right, the Lions have played more games.
Haven't played yet.
Right. So, question before we get ready to sign off with this segment: Super Bowl predictions.
I knew it was coming.
And can Stevie Wonder, can anybody else be able to see that you are going to definitely put the Chiefs in the Super Bowl? And I'm assuming you're going to put them playing against the Lions, correct?
Well, let me say it this way. Last week I put a post up on Facebook that said both teams are leading charm lives because there were times when they could have lost the game, but fate shined on them and they won the game. The Chiefs are 11-1. The Lions now are 12-1, and I fully expect them to win out the rest of their schedule, except for one or two teams on either schedule, Kansas City or Detroit. Buffalo is going to be a tough test, but at the same time, I think they're going to master that test, and the home field advantage is going to help them a great deal. Kansas City is weathering through some things, and I think they're going to be fine. It's all about what is going to happen as it relates to the health of some of their players. I think they have enough time to get some of those players back before the playoffs, and with the mindset of the coaches, the general manager, and the team itself, I think both of them have an opportunity to be in the Super Bowl. I'm not going to predict right now, but at the same time, that's my desire.
Well, I just hope and pray that, like you said, the Lions stay healthy. I hope that Kansas City stays healthy. So if the two of them face each other in the Super Bowl, there are no reasons to think anything other than it will be a great Super Bowl game.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is that I'm hoping and praying that they look at getting homegrown talent like Stevie Wonder to perform at one of the playoff games.
Absolutely.
And I wish that we still had Aretha Franklin still with us, or Marvin Gaye, or others that would have longed to have seen, the Lions in games like this,
especially Marvin with his affiliation with the former players, Lem Barney and
absolutely,
I forgot the Mel Farr.
Mel Farr, yeah. And that, but like I said, hopefully the owners will look at bringing Stevie in to maybe perform the national anthem. I know that they've had Eminem, to come in and promote the Lions, but let's hope that they get Stevie, to
Absolutely.
come in and do something like that, because I know he would love to, be on that big stage and, and be able to celebrate along with the Detroit Lions. But, but Ken, I'm glad you were able to come on. I'll give you a chance if somebody's interested in looking at selling some real estate or buying some real estate, they can contact you at what number?
313-819-7065.
Give that number again, please.
313-819-7065.
All right, Ken. Thank you for coming on the show. I mean, you sure you don't want to? You sure you don't want to make a prediction for the Super Bowl? I mean, you can just give a score. What do you think the score? You don't have to say who won, but what score do you think the winning team will win by?
I would say the winning team in the Super Bowl is going to win by at least 5 points.
At least by 5. Okay. And then where's the Super Bowl going to be played at this year?
Good question. I'm not sure.
You mean I stumped Ken Scott on something?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a good question.
You have to definitely make sure that you let, text me, and let me know, because you're looking it up right now, right?
I am.
Because I know you got one of the fastest computers, fastest phones in America. So, and I know that they've got, who is that?
New Orleans.
It's going to be played at the Superdome in New Orleans.
No, in New Orleans.
Okay. And
wait, hold on. I'm sorry. Hold on for a second. Yeah, New Orleans.
In New Orleans. And give the date.
Okay. February 9th.
February 9th in New Orleans. Okay. Right. Well, let's hope and pray, like I said, that the Lions make it. That's the first thing. So let's hope they make it to the any rate. Let's hope the Lions make it. But Ken Scott, thank you for coming on the show with us today. We got to take a break.
Right, thank you.
And talk to you soon, my brother. All right, you are listening to and looking at the Truth to Power show. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and in our next segment, we have the phenomenal Kimberly Cooley that's going to be joining us. Stay tuned.
Feel good about your future with tuition-free programs at Wayne County Community College District. Whether you want to be in healthcare, computer science, the culinary arts, digital media, or robotics and automation for the next generation of vehicles, WCCCD has you covered. A full range of programs to achieve your goals, fit your schedule, and give you all the support you need to be successful. All of it tuition-free. Now there's something to feel good about. Register today at wcccd.edu.
Your radio is now on TV. Your TV is now on radio. WHPR 88.1 FM can now be heard and seen worldwide. The same platform that hosts all of your favorite content now has WHPR TV and radio. Have your own radio or TV show on Roku with approximately 8 million homes. Debut your music video, clothing line, church ministry, plays, or products. A limited number of slots are available, so act now. For more information, visit RokuDetroit.com or call 313-868-6612. You heard about it. Now come be a part of it. Roku Detroit Worldwide. Approximately 8 million viewers.
This is the Finance Doctor with the Phoenix Group. We specialize in financial problems. If you are dealing with repossession, foreclosure, garnishment, or any financial problem, give us a call at 1-877-446-1664. That number again is 1-877-446-1664 for the help you need. We specialize in financial problems.
All right, we are back, and you are watching the Truth to Power show. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, and we are joined by the phenomenal young lady that probably very little people, just like Ken Scott, you probably see her, and I've seen her before. Those that might not know her name, but you say you've seen her before, But now you get an opportunity to put the name to go along with her face. But this is my good friend, Miss Kimberly Cooley, that's going to be joining us. Kimberly, thank you again for coming on Truth to Power Show today with us.
Thank you. Good morning, Darwin. Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate being here, and I can't wait to share, the different things about my day job and the missions that I have.
Okay. Well, we just got off the segment with Ken Scott, so he was giving a lot of his thoughts about the Detroit Lions and the great season that they're having. But let's get your perspective. What do you think about the Lions, and how do you think that the Lions are doing this season, and how do you think that they may wind the season up?
Well, I'm really excited about it. I kind of wish, because you mentioned that certain people that are no longer here with us, I had a god brother who he didn't care. He loved the Lions. I wish he was here to see this day. So happy and sad. So my hope is that they win the playoffs. They make it to the Super Bowl. They win that too. That's what I want.
Well, I think that your sentiment is shared by a lot of people, especially a lot of diehard Lions fans that have gone through a lot of seasons that the Lions have played when they weren't playing to the level that they're playing under Dan Campbell this year. I know I was happy to see Coach Wayne Fontes, former Lions coach. I saw him recently, and he still looks good, and he's really excited, for the Lions. A lot of former players that played with the Lions are really coming back, and and I keep seeing, I think on the game last night, I saw Barry Sanders, who has a statue, out in front of Ford Field, and I see Barry Sanders up in the stands, and seeing a lot of entertainers that are coming out. Everybody knows that they are accustomed to seeing like Eminem in the stands, but now you're seeing other Detroiters that have been, seen at some of the games. And the other part too is that the Lions are becoming America's team.
They are.
And I say that, Kimberly, because of the fact that it seems like the Lions have a phenomenal fan base all over the country.
They do. Grit is everywhere.
and that's the thing, that a lot of times when you talk about the word grit, everybody has their own definition of that term grit. I know some people say it's their resiliency. Some people say it's they're able to bounce back from adversity. The strength that they have, the ability to play under duress. And, the Lions are exhibiting all that this year. And I think that, as the coach said in his speech last night, post-game speech, that the Lions are a team of destiny. And as I was saying to some people this morning, they control their own destiny right now. And hopefully the Lions, as Ken was saying, will stay healthy. Hopefully some of the players that have gotten hurt or gotten injured will be able to bounce back, and we'll be able to go and play in the playoffs as well as in the Super Bowl, should the Lions make it to the Super Bowl. But I'm so happy that Detroit now can take a lot of the words that people used to describe the Lions in the past, and they can go and they can say the Lions. It used to be a time when people would say the Lions were a team that other teams loved to play because they knew there was a win when they played against the Lions. It's a lot different now. It's a lot different now. Now the Lions are not the team that people want to face because they know they got to bring their A game to play against the Lions.
And something that you and I think Ken said earlier too was the fact that they're actually a team.
Mm-hmm.
No big eyes, no little U's. You know, they work together. The play last night when he tripped, tossed it out. I mean, that was teamwork. Absolute teamwork. And
But it was good that he's the height that he is, 6'4". So when he, when somebody, when he tripped over another player and he was almost like down on his knees, but he was still able to hand the ball off. A shorter player might not have been able to have the kind of agility that, that Goff had to be able to do something like that. And to turn something that could have been a misstep into a great play. But the thing about it was nobody was expecting Dan Campbell to make that play call, to go for it.
Right. It was on the offense.
Exactly. But they wanted to make sure that Jake Bates, the kicker, was going to be able to have a good opportunity to kick that, I think, 35-yard field goal that he kicked.
And he is just so humble.
Very.
You almost can see his spirit through the TV screen. And when he gets to the game ball, it's just like, I can't believe I'm here. He always looks like that, but he always comes through, and that's amazing.
Well, let's hope and pray that resides throughout the
right,
the playoffs and also in the Super Bowl, because a lot of games have been won and lost by the kicking team. So, we hope that if anything, he continues to have a great season. Right. And the interesting part about it, real quick, was that this man was selling bricks, a few years ago. Right. So,
and he came from soccer.
And he was a soccer.
And always admired football players.
Right.
And now it's like, I'm not only with the football players, like we're winning and I'm helping. He always has that impression, but I think that's awesome. And I think that what makes them winners too. It
does. And then he also had a background with the USFL, playing with that league. But but the thing is that it's good to see now more women, and I'm not a sexist by no means, but to see more women getting involved in the Lions and their winning ways. And, when you look in the stands to see a lot of people that went to the games, you're seeing a whole lot of women.
There are a lot of women who are very into sports and football. I keep up with it and I watch some of it. And of course, while they're winning, but I know some, they know. In fact, one of my daughters, she can spit trivia, facts, details.
That's your daughter. That's the twin. That's your twin.
No, not that one. The youngest.
Okay. Go ahead.
The one you took voting that time.
Okay.
Her. She knows everything. She can stand with anyone and go over on any sport pretty much. And then also, especially living in the South, I've lived in Texas, I lived in Georgia, and especially Texas, in Tennessee, women know football. So it's not like this phenomenal thing, and they were always cheerleaders. They knew the sport.
Well, and it's so interesting, Kimberly, that a lot of people, when you see the players, and I just love it when I see the players, when they score a touchdown or do something phenomenal or get an interception or something like that, and they go and they run and jump up into the stands and do that, what they call the Lambeau Leap, which was kind of made real popular in Green Bay. When they jump up and then the fans, start to patting them on the back and the helmet and all that, saying great job. But it's just interesting to see Patrick when he jumped up in the stands, the wide receiver for the Lions, and he jumped up into the stands, and the fans were really kind of showing him their appreciation and admiration for, what he did. And as I was saying to Ken, there were a lot of great plays by some great people last night. Goff had a good game. The announcers made comments about Amon St. Ra that hadn't really had the kind of games that he's had in the past. But he definitely, in the fourth quarter, he made some great plays. You had so many players that stepped up. And even one of the things I love about the Lions this season, is that even when he threw the interception, the Lions weren't standing on the sidelines, or the players weren't looking dejected or had their head down. And they seemed to take the kind of grit and resiliency and the strength that their coach has. And you never saw Dan Campbell really looking like, dejected as he continued to encourage Goff. The announcers were talking about the 5 interceptions that, that Goff had thrown, weeks ago. And they were like just saying that basically the Lions are never to be counted out. And I watched that game last night and I was feeling like the Lions of old, I may have thought that the Lions, here they go, same old Lions, might go and let the game get out of hand, have a play that may just keep the Lions from winning, or they beat themselves. Whereas last night, the Lions knew we can beat this team. And we could beat, and they were a formidable team.
And they said it was by players. Some of them, they didn't even know their names. They said they were basically walking up like, "Hi, I'm so-and-so."
Well,
because they had to go so deep into the players.
And that's the thing that was so funny about the game last night, because these were players that had only been playing with the Lions for a couple of weeks, as you were saying, and they just got acquainted with them, and because I was looking at the Lions and looking at the names on the backs of their jerseys, and I'm like, who is this guy?
What? My name is
right. And and it's like they had a lot of good opportunities to make some great plays from players that had just came on board. And that's one of the things that I have to give Brad Holmes, for making some great trades and some great strides in bringing players that complemented each other.
Definitely.
And the word is complemented each other, because they were the pieces that needed to be filled in. And that's one of the things that was masterful on Brad Holmes' part, is to know where the Lions had weaknesses or deficiencies at, and then to take those positions and find the right people to fit in to those positions. The Pistons have had great general managers in the past, and I think that Trajan Lang is now the general manager with the Pistons now. I think he's doing a phenomenal job. Detroit has teams that are doing well. I mean, the Red Wings, they're doing okay. The Tigers made it into the playoffs. The Pistons are doing, they're surprising, teams with wins that they're getting against some good teams.
Right. Hopefully they'll build like the Lions and we'll get back to a three-peat. We're almost a three-peat.
Well, let's hope and pray, that we can keep Piston players healthy. We can keep, and then, and then there's the talk too, because I was talking about this with Keith and Leland a few weeks ago about the possibility of even bringing the women's basketball team back. They had the Shock, years past. But maybe to bring, I don't know if they can, still name them the Shock, or if they'd have to have a different name for the women's basketball team. But hopefully they can bring get women's sports.
That'd be awesome. I've been in Atlanta when I was living there, and there were quite a few people in attendance, and they were pretty popular. So, and I enjoyed the games that I got a chance to go to. So,
well, let's hope that they can continue to grow their fan base, especially not just in places like Atlanta and Houston and other, places that the Lions play at. But let's hope that they can grow their fan base even here in Detroit with more and more, people that hadn't really been a sports enthusiast to come and want to go to the games, because I know I went to the first playoff game they had last year, or earlier this year rather, when they played against the Los Angeles Rams. And when Matthew Stafford came back, to to play against the Lions in the first playoff game that the Lions, played in back in January. That was the first playoff game that I had ever went to that the Lions had ever been in. And the fans, the environment, the energy was just phenomenal, and
well, Detroit brings it always.
They do.
Win or lose, Detroit brings it.
The 313, everybody knows 313. And when I used to see, all the T-shirts that had Detroit versus everybody, and people are really, looking at Detroit as being a great place to visit and a great place to raise a family in and to have a business in. As you know, Kimberly, Detroit has probably gotten a bad rap in the past.
Yes.
But now you're looking at the resurgence of the downtown area, some of the neighborhoods, having the Q Line, the People Mover, the riverfront. There's a lot of activity going on in Detroit, and there's so much to do. And then there's to talk too about the 375 corridor and looking at trying to go and get a revitalization of what was taken away from Detroiters, Paradise Valley.
Yeah.
And also Black Bottom, as some people called it. But I know that there's a lot that you've got an interest in when it comes down to things that occurred there in Paradise Valley and all along Black Bottom and that kind of thing. So if you'd like to talk about that, you're definitely welcome to.
Okay. I'm always ready to talk about that. So actually, just to not necessarily correct you, but Paradise Valley and Black Bottom were two different neighborhoods, but they were side by side.
Okay.
And Hastings Street was the main street. I called it the Woodward Avenue because it kind of went through both neighborhoods. So I do have interest. I'm a descendant of a Black Bottom business owner, and that is what sparked my interest. While I was living in Georgia, I came back here in 2012. My grandmother passed, and she had been a business owner, Louise's Shrimp House. It used to be on the North End. It was a block and a half north of Claremont on Woodward Avenue. And she was one of the first Black women to have a business on Woodward Avenue. So there's so many things. It's funny. I always say people are just living their lives, but later on they don't realize that they're actually making history. So when I was here in 2012, and she was going on 101, so it was more of a celebration, of course, I miss her. But, Detroit was Detroit. So I moved back here in 2016, and I said, what happened in 4 years? Looks more like 40. Downtown was built up. Whole neighborhoods were gone. I didn't see Brightmoor anymore. And then as I was going around and seeing different things for the future, and it's no disrespect to anyone, but I didn't see a lot of melanin. And I said, we had contributions to this city. So that was where I came up with the idea, and I call it A Taste of Hastings Street. And what it does, it honors the food, music, history, and fun of Paradise Valley and Black Bottom. So we have a live band. Some of the people who play in the band actually were musicians and artists that did play in Paradise Valley at the various clubs there. Paradise Valley was more of an entertainment district, and a lot of it is still there, and people may not realize it. A long time ago, some older Detroiters may remember Harmony Park. That was a very popular area, but that was actually Paradise Valley. So I think the Chronicle newspaper is there now. There are different things. It's kind of right around the corner from was the Masonic Theater? No, not Masonic. Okay. I'm sorry, it flew out of my head. But in that area, if you go, there's a little space in the middle. And if you look in, there's a medallion on the ground. And that's where it does say Paradise Valley. But a lot of people don't realize that that's there. Black Bottom it had businesses, but it was more residential as well. So there are a lot of groups out who are celebrating that history and trying to preserve it, because the majority of the people who were there are now in their 80s or 90s, or they've gone on. And we need to preserve that history and understand it before they're all gone. So going back to A Taste of Hastings Street, I'm looking for a permanent location. Right now, we've been doing pop-ups, but like I said, we have a live band. We have different artists. I always have a guest historian, and then they'll tell the story of their contribution or their family's contribution to those two neighborhoods. We have photographs where people can look. So I'm building up like an exhibit. You get a free picture that has a nice little background with the Hastings Street sign on it. And then we have a food tasting. So in that food tasting, there are always three different foods. So I'll select 2 businesses that actually existed there. So I don't have their recipes or I'm not connected, but you get a food, like either I've looked up the menu or things like that. And we have an awesome chef. So he prepares the food. And then I always do my family. So my grandmother was Louise's Shrimp House. My great uncle was Carl's Shrimp House. So a lot of people remember Carl's. He was on Dexter. He was on Rosa Parks Boulevard, different things. So between the two of them, and I still know how to make the shrimp. Everybody's trying to get me to open a restaurant. I'm like, I don't know. Restaurants are hard work. But we always have their shrimp, and I say Louise's and Carl Shrimp because they use the same batter. And then we'll have those 2 other restaurants that we honor. So just to give you an example, on the last one we did, it was about the blues. So Marcia Music was our guest historian. Her father owned Joe's Record Shop. Joe's Record Shop was one of the locations that was the first to record the blues and other artists. He had a small recording studio in the back. So he also was the first person to record Aretha Franklin, and he recorded her father's sermons, different things like that. So he is very, important in history. So she shared her family's experiences. But when we connected, she's like a big sister to me now. Her father's record store was a half a block down from my family's business. So she said once a week she was allowed to walk. So she remembers my grandmother, so she could walk there and get a quarter pound of shrimp. So that was pretty exciting for her when we met, and I have made some shrimp for her too. So
well, you got to make some shrimp and bring it back to the station one of these days. But go ahead.
Okay. We'll set that up.
Okay.
So she talked about the contribution. We had a guest blues singer with the band, and so a lot of people really enjoyed that. She was good too. And then like I said, we have an exhibit. You can walk around. So it's very interactive, and people always enjoy the food. So the food has been pretty amazing. And like I said, I'm looking to expand it. Ultimately, I want to get a museum where we have different exhibits and artifacts showing what it was, because people don't realize about the neighborhood. Older people do, some a little younger have heard of it, but like a lot of our young people in their 20s and 30s, they don't realize the contributions that the African American population has made to this city. In Paradise Valley and Black Bottom, they were almost like, everyone knows like Tulsa, Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it was as rich because they had a larger financial district, I believe, but it still was a self-contained neighborhood. And then every time, it was taken down because they built the expressway. And then they moved on Davidson, which I didn't know this. I found out later. And what is there now? An expressway. So every time a district was built, something was put in place to remove that district. They said that the dollar, and I don't remember the exact number of times, it varies, depends on who wrote the article, but I've seen anywhere from 18 to 24 times that the dollar circulated Black Bottom and Paradise Valley before it left the neighborhood. That's economic power, right? So those things need to be brought back. Now, on another note, currently, MDOT, Michigan Department of Transportation, is doing some changes. Part of 375, that part by Gratiot, they are filling that in and turning it into a boulevard. And it's going to open up some acres. I forgot the exact number of acres, but it's opening up acres for business opportunities. So currently, there have been different meetings taking place.
Yeah, I think they had meetings earlier this week.
They did. I was there. Yeah,
okay.
They did. So that was
I should have known you were going to be there. Right.
Yeah, that was a public meeting. And I made a good connection there too, a couple of them actually. So it's very important that people know about opportunity, because when I've gone to the meetings, and again, it's no disrespect to other cultures, but this is supposed to repair about us. And not a lot of us are there. So there needs to be more representation, So I would put the challenge out to talk to older family members, find out about what they remember about Detroit history, and start looking for those meetings and be present so that your voices can be heard and that you can make sure that you get opportunity on those acres that will be offering business opportunity. It is mentioned a lot. Not so much quote unquote reparations, but honoring that past and making sure that there's a fairness and a representation in that project.
And that's a great point. We'll kind of go back to that when we come back from our break.
Okay.
You're watching Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, with my special guest, Ms. Kimberly Cooley, and we'll be right back shortly.
Watkins Broadcasting is going worldwide. Now you can watch Detroit's own WHPR on your TV from anywhere in the world. No matter where you are, you can stay in the know with WHPR TV and Roku. You can get your easy-to-install Roku box from wherever you shop for your entertainment gear. Once your Roku box is connected to your TV and internet, go to the channel store on the home menu of the Roku box. Enter WHPR TV in the search engine and add it to your channels. That's it. That's all you need to get the best in entertainment, news, and talk, no matter where you are. Roku brings all of your favorites to your TV. Netflix, Hulu Plus, Crackle, HBO Go, and now WHPR TV, Detroit Live.
Hi, I'm Eric Sabria, your Wayne County Treasurer. If you're living in the home of a deceased family member and you're facing property tax foreclosure, the probate process can be helpful to you. If you file a probate petition and notify our office, the foreclosure proceedings be halted during the probate process. Contact us at 313-224-5990 or email us at taxinfo@waynecounty.com. We're here to help.
My fear is not being myself or putting others in harm whenever I'm under the influence. Did you know drivers with a BSC of 0.08 are 4 times more likely to get in a crash than those with a 0?
There is a reason why the legal drinking age is 21. Underage drinking is ugly because teens who start to drink before the age of 15 are 12 times more likely to be unintentionally injured.
Over 300 fatal crashes and almost 4,000 injury crashes were alcohol related.
Death is ugly, especially since it's avoidable accidents. Yet on average, every 52 minutes, an alcohol-impaired driving fatality occurs.
Fees and fines are ugly and I want to get paid, not owing anybody money. If everyone obeyed new driving policies with a BAC of no more than 0.05, alcohol-impaired driving fatalities, injuries, and total costs could decrease by 71 through 77%.
Help us remind others to not be ugly with alcohol and keep alive with 0.05. This message was brought to you by the Center for Urban Youth and Family Development. For more information on how you can get involved, email admin@mycap.org.
Have you ever wanted your own TV show? Have you dreamed of showcasing your talent for the world to see? Well, now you can. Have your own TV show. You can have your own 30-minute show. Not only will you be seen in the Detroit area, but you can be viewed worldwide. For more information, call 313-868-6612. Visit our studios and receive a free TV interview to promote your business, church, or organization by appointment only. TV 33 is moving to WHPS TV channel 15.2. Make sure to rescan the channels on your TV. Then go to WHPS channel 15.2 to pick up TV 33 and all of your favorite shows. The move is on, and we want you to move with us to WHPS channel 15.2.
Maureen Jackson thought she had it all until she was faced with the challenges of raising an autistic child. Inspired by autism is her brutally honest journey, filled with heartbreak and triumph. Get your copy and find the support you deserve today by visiting www.claudrinejackson.tv.
WGPR Detroit HD2.
You're watching WHPS, Highland Park, Detroit.
Back to Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, with my special guest, Ms. Kimberly Cooley. And Kimberly, I know we'll transition from the work that you've done down there in Black Bottom, Paradise Valley, and now let's transfer from there and let's segue into now you're doing some things in the Corktown and other areas. Talk about what you're doing also, in other parts of Detroit.
All right. So that's my day job. So I work for the Community Builders, Inc., and I'm their education and resource manager. We are working on the Choice Neighborhood Implementation Grant in North Corktown. So a lot of people aren't familiar with that. So let me back it up because there's different parts to it, but then they all work together. So the Choice Neighborhood Implementation Grant is given through HUD, and it's given to different cities to help build affordable housing because, affordable housing is an issue. So when the grants are awarded to the cities, someone has to manage it. The city cannot manage its own grant or its own self because they can't audit itself. So it gets picked up by different people. So the Community Builders is a nationwide nonprofit, and they manage these types of grants throughout cities. The closest one from here is Cleveland. They have one in Cleveland, Ohio, so we kind of call that our sister location. But the Community Builders has three basic parts. There is the part that manages construction and remodeling of housing. Then there's the part that's called Community Life, where they work with the different residents who are in transition due to these projects. And then also some ongoing services. And then they have property management.
What did you call it? Samoan Gardens? What'd you say?
No, I just said that. I don't even know what I said there.
You were saying the three different parts.
Okay, so Community Life.
Okay.
That's the middle part. And they work with the residents who are in transition in the housing. Okay. Then there is property management. So property management would be the ongoing care of the properties. So I'm going to kind of break that up. So related to Detroit specifically, the Choice Neighborhood Implementation Funds went to North Corktown. Okay, so that's near the train station, and there's all these things.
And near the old Tiger Stadium and up through there. Okay.
Yes, actually, currently our office is on Michigan Avenue and Rosa Parks, so we're like a couple of blocks down from there. So what happened when they were awarded, they're building different properties. So the core community that's being affected is Clement Kern Gardens.
Clement Kern, okay.
Yes, Clement Kern Gardens is going to be torn down and rebuilt. Now, all the properties are not exclusively affordable housing anymore. The house is mixed income. So the residents are being moved out in different phases. The property will be rebuilt. Those residents who are currently there have first choice at returning, or they may have the option to stay where they moved, but the city of Detroit will move them twice. Now, if they decide to stay where they were at permanently, and they made that decision when they left, then they would have to go on the waiting list for Clement Kern Gardens like any other person. So currently our first phase is moving. Have you heard of Left Field?
Mm-hmm.
Are you familiar? Okay. So for those who aren't, Left Field is an apartment building, and they have 6 townhomes, and is located in the actual old left field of Tiger Stadium.
Right.
So there, again, it's mixed income. So our 22 families are moving over there. So what I do as a education and resource manager, I'm sorry, let me back it up too. So that's not the only property that's being built. Currently under construction is Preserve on Ash 1 and 2. That is located on Ash Street and 14th, and that's near Martin Luther King and 14th. So those 2 are currently under construction. There will also be a part 3, and they're building like a big park space over there. And you can find out about all these plans if you go onto the City of Detroit website and put in Choice Neighborhood Implementation. Or if you just say Choice Neighborhood, it will come up. So Left Field is part of it. Preserve on Ash 1 and 2, and then eventually there'll be a 3. And then there's another project where it will be a 1 and 2. The name is still up in the air, so I'm not going to say it, but it's located almost next to Left Field and kind of behind our office. So it's on Rosa Parks and right there at 75. Which is kind of next to it. So altogether, there will be 5, and then again, the Clement Kerns will be rebuilt. So altogether, there'll be 5 properties, and all with mixed income. So but the affordable housing is in there, and it is fixed. And first, I was a little concerned because we've seen gentrification, but I was on a call with her, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I believe this man to my soul. He said if there is 1 unit less, he will pull the money. Because he said he's seen it where, different cities historically have built properties with government money, and then every year there's less and less until the whole structure is a market rate. So that affordable housing is definitely protected. That was a concern of mine as a Detroiter. I don't know if I should say that. I might get in trouble, but I guess it's okay. So I want to focus on what I do, what my part is. That's just kind of the overview of how all those things work together. So I work the community life portion. So with community life, we work with the residents who are affected by this transition. The HUD grant comes with different metrics. They want 100% graduation rate for the youth. They want the seniors taken care of. We have to find out if there's food insecurity, which often is an issue in affordable homes. We have to work with the early childhood education. We have to make sure that they are either going to preschool or introduced to reading or have some type of activities or engagement. We work with the adults who are working age. We help them find careers and training and, provide resources, and then just overall resources for everyone. And we work with our seniors, and then for the entire community.
Now, what kind of work do you do with the seniors?
With the seniors, we make sure they have food, so there's no food insecurity because they're on a fixed income. So sometimes, even though you're living in affordable housing and the amount that you pay per month is based upon, your income, you still have other things that you need. And with seniors, you know, they more often need medication, and sometimes their co-pays cover and sometimes don't, or doctor visits. And if you get sick or, you know, different things. So there's always things that you can't control. And then now if you're not driving, or if you have a car, so if you have a car and something happens to it, you need a repair, just a small repair can throw off your budget. So these are things that we try to make sure that we can help, you know, support. So we try to make sure, and then what happens? It comes down to a choice of food sometimes. We don't want seniors not having quality lives. So as a team, and I want to give a shout out to my team. So the area director is Teresa Mitchell. She's amazing. That's a person that you need to know if you don't. She's everywhere. I don't even know how she does it, but she helps everyone, and you never are around her that she doesn't add an improvement to your life. Then our team. So we have LaShonda Klein, who is our administrative assistant, but she does so much. She writes books. Like every time we have a conversation, like, you do that too? She's an amazing person. Then we have Tracy Rucker and we have Melinda Smith. So both of them are community life liaisons. So they're actually assigned to families, and they talk with the families every couple of weeks. Okay. And then as education and resource manager, I help everyone. So I have to find resources, you know, and any type of assistance I can secure, you know, to make the lives of the residents better. So with early childhood education, for example, yesterday we had PBS Kids. So Clifford the Big Red Dog was there. Boy, the kids had a good time too. We almost had to stop them. They were playing with Clifford's ears and everything, but they had a really good time. Then we did an event called Kicking It with Claus. Sometimes you have to have fun. So we had Santa visit us, and he was a pretty cool Santa too, wearing shades and everything. So the kids got to take pictures with them, and we had different activities. They made some ugly sweaters. We did some dancing, posted videos. So, you know, the parents and the children had a really good time. Another project that we're working on that is really close to my heart is Project Graduation. As I mentioned, we have to have 100% graduation rate for our youth who are, you know, living there. So we had some seniors who were not able to graduate last year. Some of it could have been like a family situation, traumatic experience, but I'm so excited because they came to our Project Graduation event. So what Project Graduation is, we work with 7th to 12th graders. In this one, we're focusing on our community, but it is open to others. It's open, you know, citywide. And we're exposing our youth because I find that, you know, youth go to school, and why? Because I'm supposed to, because it's the law, my mom maybe, you know, whatever. But I want them to be exposed to secondary endeavors so that all of these youth have a secondary plan. So I've been building relationships with different people. I've built one, the Millwright Union, with electrical workers, the military, colleges, some fraternities and sororities. Shout out to Oakland University. Let's see, who else? A beauty salon and different people, but just, and I've been partnering with schools. I'm building a relationship with Pensole Lewis College of Business and Design. And I never remember their whole name. Diamond Beauty, but it's a school on Jefferson. Sorry. But, and more. I want the youth to see all the different opportunities that are out there. And I even let them know, okay, maybe you think you don't want to do something. So that's okay. Still come and learn about it, because there might be a part of it that you related to. Like people, I don't want to design shoes and clothes. But guess what? There's a whole other side to that business. What about marketing? Are you good with social media? Are you good with creating flyers? Are you artistic? So sometimes people think, like, say, for instance, people go to the bank. Well, not so much anymore since everything's electronic. But when they did, they see the teller. And to most people, the teller was the bank. but there's so much more behind the teller. How does the money get processed? How is the funding? All those things. So that's when I'm getting them to be open-minded. So I was really excited. We finally had about 8 youth show up because we've been begging them. So we had like a Wild 'N Out theme because a lot of kids know that show. So it was called What Are We Doing in the Classroom? So some of the youth that came to the project graduation also came to Kicking It with Claus, and they brought more friends, and they said, oh, we had a good time last night, and they're looking forward to coming back again. So our next one, we usually meet the first Wednesday of the month, but because the first Wednesday of the month will be New Year's Day, in January we're moving it back to the 8th, and it's going to be about branding. So branding is telling your story to who you want to buy. So a lot of people don't realize that as an individual, you have a brand. So like how I introduce it, I go, if you hear the term, just do it, what do you think of? Nike. Everyone knows that. Okay, so that's their brand. So I said, did you know that you have a brand? And they look puzzled. And I said, do you know what your brand is? What does someone say about you when you're not in the room? So that makes people think. So do you like your brand? Do you want to build on your brand? Do you want to change your brand? Do you want to improve your brand? Do you want to create a new brand? How do you do that? So that's what our next project is. And I want to work on building up the individual, and then we can start getting into the professions. And I let them know 7th grade is not too early. So 7th through 12th graders. And we also, like the young men who are 19, they haven't graduated yet, but we're going to work on that. And they have expressed the interest that they will do that. So I'm excited about that we can make a change.
And so you're right, because branding is very important, with all ages.
Yes.
And the thing is that a lot of times the branding gets your messaging out without you having to promote yourself. It's almost like just like when you think of the Motor City,
right?
You're automatically thinking about Detroit. That's the branding that Detroit has. But you want to have a brand that's going to be positive, just like you were saying about Just Do It with Nike. Be all you can be, when people promote the Army, so it's like you can say something and then automatically people will say, oh yeah, that's the Army. Oh yes, that's, Nike. Oh yes, that's Detroit. And that's the thing that people do. And now I think that's one of the things, as we were talking earlier about with the Lions, grit. When you wear grit on your baseball cap, automatically that's the brand,
right?
As you were saying,
and the colors,
is another, the Honolulu blue and and silver. So in the Amazing Blue, when you think Amazing Blue, you think of Michigan, University of Michigan.
Oh, amazing. Yeah.
So that's the thing that a lot of people, when they see the Old English Detroit, on their caps, they know when they see that Old English D, they know automatically that, as you're saying, that's the brand for Detroit. Or even now, a lot of people are making the 3 numbers 313 synonymous with Detroit. So it just really depends, like you said, on, what that brand is. And as you were saying, 7th graders can get into, figuring out what type of business they might even want, because everybody's not cut out to go to college,
right? And
or
that's
to go to a university.
Exactly why. And we're encouraging entrepreneurship as well.
And that's one of the key things, because a lot of people don't discover their hidden talents. And just like you were saying about you, Kimberly, what you do, you have a day job, but you also have an evening job, and people find sometimes another passion that they have even later years in their lives. Look at Famous Amos, with the cookies. Look at who else? I think Colonel Sanders, right? And some people discover that they have another talent well into their 40s and 50s. You know, we're talking about trying to encourage people in the 7th grade. You know, but you know, the thing is that I think everybody has like 3 different stages in their life. You know, and some people go to college. A lot of people are surprised when they ask me, "Where'd you go to college at, Darwin?" And I tell them I went to Michigan State. And then, well, what did you major in? And like I told them, my degree is in biological sciences. Well, what are you doing hosting a TV show? You know, so that surprises some people when you say that. But then when I tell people that my major was biology, but my minor was psychology. Oh, well, okay, I can understand how you can be a, you know, a talk show host and, you know, and that kind of thing. But with the people that you have in your program, how does somebody, if they're interested in being involved, you know, in your program? I know you were saying from the people that may have been displaced, you know, but how does one get to be to be active or be involved in the services that you and the other ladies that you provide?
Okay. Well, some of the things are exclusive for the community, but certain projects like Project Graduation is open. Our main focus is the residents. So certain things are residents only. Our secondary focus is the North Corktown area. We have a certain responsibility there as well. And then with the Project Graduation, we just decided to open that up to make that available, you know, for youth. And we are working on partnering. One of the issues is that they have all these initiatives that you have to do, and they got millions, billions of dollars, but there's no funding for like food or for doing these activities. It's all on construction. So we're real dedicated. We come out of our pockets a lot. We could talk about that in a minute. But as far as how to connect, you could call me at 313-484-4709. The number again is 313-484-4709. That's my work number. Or you can email me, Kimberly, KIMBERLY .Cooley, COOLEY at TCB, which is the Community Builders, INC, short for Incorporated, .org. So Kimberly.Cooley at TCBINC.org.
And now so if the community wanted to pitch in with donations or anything like that, they can contact either you or somebody else?
They can contact me. Oh my God, we do need help because, you know, like we had residents who had car accidents and they're going through with that and couldn't get to work and different challenges. You know, the holidays are here. That's a big challenge.
Now, do you, not to cut you off, but do you have because I know that you have programs that will help like getting cars, you know, through like Mother Waddles or some of the other, you know, services. Do you have the resources to be able to get them, assist them with getting a car or getting like a voucher to be able to get different things?
Now that's a major part of my job is building partnerships. Once I find out what needs are, then I find out how to get that need resolved. So we do, you know, look at other people and we refer, because we can't do everything. And trust me, all of us do a lot out of our pockets, like that Christmas party yesterday. You know, we do it out of love. Sometimes I joke and say, I don't know if I can afford working here because, and they tease me that if I bring one more Amazon bag or box down the hallway, but it's okay. You know, it's what's needed. But yes, we do build partnerships for different things, for employment, for training, for, you know, with the Gleaners, with Focus Hope for the seniors, things like that. So we do try to resolve certain needs, but we definitely do need support for those extras, for those, you know, residents, because mostly in affordable housing is single parent households, low income 2-parent households, or seniors, and most of them, you know, have limited income.
You're on a fixed income or something like that. Okay.
Yes.
So now, before we take our next break, so with some of the resources you have, like in assisting with food items, clothing items, is there any resources that help in terms of, say, like with, so some of the dwellings in this area, they're single home?
No, most of these are townhomes and apartments.
Okay.
And as they rebuild it, it will be more apartments and a few townhomes. The majority is apartments. And most of them are smaller, and the new townhomes won't have basements. So you know how the newer housing is. It's different. So I guess the biggest challenge is, well, they don't have to worry about moving because the city of Detroit is paying for the move. So as they transition while the property is rebuilt, and if they move back, the city of Detroit covers both moves.
Covers the expenses.
That's part of a relocation program. So they don't have to worry about that. Right now, Christmas, for Thanksgiving, we were able to help because we partnered with Detroit PAL. They're a couple blocks down. So they had a turkey giveaway, and then there were different places that we learned where dinners were served. So we made sure that the residents are aware of it. We have a text thread that we send information out on. Then, but now with Christmas coming up, we do have a couple of families that, again, due to the confidential nature, I can't go into details, but that are in distress due to no fault of their own and do need some support, for, they have children and things like that. So.
Yeah, I think when we come back from break, because I know one of the things that I wanted to do too was to see how we could partner up through awesome. Detroit Downriver APRI, because it's one of the things we did on Thanksgiving. We provided hot turkey dinner meals to people on Thanksgiving Day. So maybe we can do some of that, with the residents next Thanksgiving. But you're watching Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin, with my special guest, Kimberly Cooley, and we will be right back after our commercial break.
This is the Finance Doctor with the Phoenix Group. We specialize in financial problems. If you're dealing with repossession, foreclosure, garnishment, or any financial problem, give us a call at 1-877-446-1664. That number again is 1-877-446-1664 for the help you need. We specialize in financial problems.
Justice for Mario Willis. Truth. Facts. Evidence. Matter. Log into justiceformariowillis.com. Read for yourself.
Feel good about your future with tuition-free programs at Wayne County Community College District. Whether you want to be in healthcare, computer science, the culinary arts, digital media, or robotics and automation for the next generation of vehicles, WCCCD has you covered. A full range of programs to achieve your goals, fit your schedule, and give you all the support you need to be successful. All of it tuition-free. Now there's something to feel good about. Register today at wcccd.edu.
Maureen Jackson thought she had it all until she was faced with the challenges of raising an autistic child. Inspired by Autism is her brutally honest journey filled with heartbreak and triumph. Get your copy and find the support you deserve today by visiting www.claudinejackson.tv.
are back you are looking at the Truth to Power show. I'm your host, Darwin Griffith, with my special guest today, Miss Kimberly Cooley. And a lot of you may, you listen to our intro music, and that is music that was created by a group formerly known as Maze. And that group is known as, that's Rome of the group, that they used to be Maze. Now what they're doing is that they're the music known as, but what they do is that they go, and when Maze dissolved his group, they went on and they changed their name and went on, and they're called TMF, or the Music Forever. And the lady who was, had co-hosted the shows with me in the beginning when I first started the Truth to Power show, her name is Letitia Sharp. And Letitia was running for Washtenaw County Treasurer. And it's interesting because she won her election, and she is the new county treasurer for the community of Washtenaw, which includes like Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti, Saline, Pittsfield Township, and other cities in that area. But she couldn't promote herself as being a candidate that was running. But the sad part about it is that her mentor and the person that was in that position when Kimberly, her name was Miss McCleary, and I can't remember her first name, but she was the county treasurer at the time, and she just recently made her transition a few days ago. And I just want to give out a shout out to her and her family, and let her know that, let Letitia know that our thoughts and prayers are with her, as well as she transitioned into the new position of county treasurer to replace the transition of her mentor, Miss McCleary. So again, I know that was a very, very tragic loss for the community, because she had been in that position, I think, for almost about the last 12 years as treasurer in Washtenaw County. So our heartfelt prayers are going out to her family and to those that knew her and loved her in the Washtenaw County community. But we definitely are looking forward to having Letitia back, to come back and talk about her new role as the county treasurer for Washtenaw in the near future. And again, we thank you to Rome and the Music Forever, TMF, formerly known as Maze, to provide us with our intro music that we play for Truth to Power. But Kimberly, we really want to kind of talk more about, because I know it was recently Giving Tuesday, in the area. And we know that there's a lot of organizations that are really trying to give back, in the community. And I know that's one of the things that I know you and I talk about, with trying to look for persons that may be in need, especially during this holiday season. And we know that there's a lot of individuals that may have a need, children that may be in need of clothing, warm clothing, coats, gloves, scarves, hats, boots, things like that. But at the same time, too, children that may be not necessarily in need, but want a nice Christmas toy or something like that, from bicycles to games and other things. But I know you and I talked about that, with a particular family in particular that was looking for. So if somebody had a need to, let's say, to give an item or wanted to donate an item for a worthy cause. Talk about that need, and if you want to go into, whatever detail you want about particular families. I know you're not going to mention the names of the families themselves, but what are the type of items that you could utilize to give to families that that may be in need of clothing items or toys?
Okay. And before I get started, I want to definitely give a shout out to Detroit Pal League. Fred
That's
Hunter,
the Police Athletic League.
Yes,
okay.
Police Athletic. Fred Hunter is the CEO, and I feel so bad. I cannot think of Janae's last name right now, but she's the person I work with directly. But they have been so gracious working with us as a partner, and they're located very close to the community. So they were able to place 2 of our families on the Shop with the Cop program. So we're excited about that. Both children get about $400, and they get a shopping trip with a police officer to Kohl's. So we were really happy for that. And again,
to Kohl's department store.
Kohl's department store, yes. So I have to be very general because you don't want to get into people's business, especially since you can identify the community.
Right.
But I was really happy. A lot of people don't realize, some people have the impression that everyone in affordable housing is not paying anything and they're just lazy and looking for handouts. But the majority of them work. So they pay a portion of what they earn for their housing, but there are still needs. It's the same way that it goes with the seniors who are on fixed income. You still have people who are working who, are doing the best that they can. They're earning the most that that's been available to them. But with children, things cost, or, with your health, things cost, all that. So I was really happy for the 2 families that we were able to get that opportunity for. Then we had another family with a situation that you and I discussed, and you were going to help assist them with toys with your program, which I know you can tell better than me. But we do have needs for clothing, for our youth. Some of them are still small. Some of them are adult size. We have, different children, toys, just whatever people can come up with. Hopefully, the things are new. It's not that we don't want gently used things, but I know sometimes you just feel extra special if it was something created just that was given just for you, that you only got to have and you only got to use it. It makes you feel a little bit different. Trust me, I'm a thrifter, so we're good with that. But I just wanted to say that. So if anyone has any desire to donate, I will give my phone number again. It's 313-484-4709, or they can email me at kimberly.cooley@TCB for the Community Builders, INC short for Incorporated.org. And then we can kind of discuss like what donations you have and how we can do it. We don't accept money. We can't do that as an organization. We are allowed to accept gift cards that we can pass on to our residents. So it can only be items that are accepted. So we're not asking for cash, but we really do want to help our families. And, we've built relationships with them. We work with them closely. We know who's really trying. We know who needs a push. And then there's something that I always say, everyone has a backstory. If you get to the backstory, you will find out why they are where they are today. It may be bad choices, but it may be the situations that they were in when they made the bad choices. And that is one of, I think, the beauties of our community life, is that initially, as you build a relationship, people give you the answers they think you kind of want to hear. But over time, you realize this person is really here for me. Now you really learn whether there's a mental health issue, whether there's been some abuse, there's a lot of situations that affect people. And sometimes it's just, I need better training, but I didn't know that this program was available, that I could get training. I thought I couldn't afford it because I knew how much it cost, or I could go to school, but I can't afford the license. So we have different partners we work with. So we also work with Sarah Metro Detroit, And they have a career coach who helps find employment and who matches them to the resources at the Detroit at Work Center where they can get training and certifications. So that's my role, is to find the partners. So if you have a program, because the beauty of partnerships is I have a thing that I'm supposed to do and I need to do it this many times by this period of time, whatever. And we both do. So a lot of times, if you match with the right partners, we're helping each other accomplish our goals. It shouldn't be one-sided. I'm a little bit at a disadvantage because I didn't start in the role until August 26th. So that's really late in the year. Believe it or not, the things for Christmas or for the later parts of the year and the holidays, they're done in January or July.
Mm-hmm.
So, or June, I'm sorry. If you come in at late August, almost September, most of the funding is already gone. So what I have been doing, I have been building partnerships with people who are excited about what we're doing, and they will help us next year. So I'm getting on some waiting lists. But right now, we still have families in need.
Yeah, there's a lot of programs that, I've worked for programs that are budgeted and funded. So, like I said, from January the 1st up until like June the 30th. And then July the 1st starts the next, cycle. So that is important to try and look at trying to do a lot of advance, scouting for, different organizations that could assist, with some of the resources. I know you mentioned about looking at trying to partner up with some places that do like with the toys. And one of the things that I'm give a little shout out to the Detroit Downriver A. Philip Randolph Institute, which I'm the vice president under the president, Andrea Hunter. And we're doing a children's toy community outreach. And what we want to do is we want to bring support to children who might otherwise go without. So what we're hoping is that we can make this season unforgettable for children in need. And if you know of a family that's in need, please submit their name, how many girls or boys in the family, their ages, with their full address and phone number to Detroit Downriver APRI at gmail.com. And the deadline for the submission of the family and persons, in the family would be Thursday, December the 19th by 5:00. And donations are welcome. And if you want to donate money to our organization to assist with trying to get toys and clothing, for individuals, well, not so much the clothing, but the toys, you can submit your donation to Cash App. Our Cash App address is $ Detroit Downriver APRI. So we definitely look forward to having, individuals to come and to, help with giving this need, because we know at this time of the year, Kimberly, and to our listening and viewing audience, that this is a time that people need to bond together, because as you mentioned earlier about the mental health that, may reside in households and families. And then with New Year coming around, you're definitely in need of a lot of support, not just in terms of, say, with toys or clothing, but just even in the conversation, because it's just like when we would go out to the families to give them like food items that we give on Thanksgiving Day, you'd be so surprised to see all of the people that wanted to start conversations with us, because they may not have had a family member or family members to come and see about them, to check in on them or to call them or let them know that happy Thanksgiving to them. And now with the upcoming seasons, with Kwanzaa, with Christmas, with Hanukkah, there's so many different, ways that people celebrate this season. And this is a time that people want to celebrate it, doing for others. And in some cases, it's people that they don't even know. And just like what your need, is, sometimes you can get a blessing that's unforeseen that really does a lot, not just to that person, but that person in turn may bless somebody else with something. And it's that power of giving and giving and giving. And, and we're very fortunate for organizations like yours to, be able to be in the community to help assist, because you never know how somebody may then go and, like you were talking about your graduation program, to have like 100% graduation. And you never know what that person might wind up doing upon graduation. It's so interesting. I was looking at the news the other day where there was a family up in the northwest section of Detroit, and there was a lady, I think she was she was a senior. I think she was in her 80s or 90s, and she needed a roof put on her house. And, the story came out on one of the news channels, and somebody was concerned, about, and I think they put a little patchwork up there to try and keep the elements, out, the snow, the rain, things like that. But I forgot the name of the roofing company that came out a few days after that story aired. And this was, a company where they decided they wanted to get out and to help this lady. And they did it free of charge, and they will get their blessings, I'm sure, as a result of doing something for this lady. And, people have probably seen the story. They saw the name of the person. And this could be somebody who may have been in need at one time too, that started his own company. And so you never know who may be a person that might come to be a blessing upon you in later years. So, is there anything else, Kimberly, before we, get ready to wrap up? Is there anything else about your organization that you'd like to disseminate out, to the community?
Oh, that's a good question. Before I do that, say that though, there was something that was on my mind that I wanted to say. Some people feel like there's just too much focus on Christmas and holidays, and why are you worrying about getting gifts, and you need to be worrying about paying your bills and things like that. But it's a far bigger picture. It's not just, this child is going to get a toy and this and other, but it's also a social thing. Those children go to school, and when kids get back to school, they discuss, hey, how was your Christmas? There's that sense of being left out that does make a difference, and it affects a child. They might kind of hang back when they first return to school because they know everyone's going to be talking and they don't have anything to talk about. That might sound like a small thing, but that's the beginning of the separation socially. And there's a lot of reasons why it is important for people to have, it's almost a confidence builder. It's not just that I'm trying to get things. So I just wanted to say that. But for our organization, it will help, say, for instance, food, because a lot of times we have things, we always try to have some sort of food for our residents when they come to things. And it may be that was pretty much what they ate, for dinner or whatever. Maybe the children go to school. So I just want to try to make sure that we have kind of a variety of things. Water. A lot of times we just go out and buy water, but because none of that is provided. So just any items that you can think of pretty much that you need to run your household would be, the support that would be useful. And we always, because we have such a close relationship with the families, we usually know pretty quickly now when something has happened because of the relationships that have been built. So we always make sure that it goes to the person of most need, or, whatever, like, I don't want to say deserving, but, we try to disseminate things in the best and fairest manner possible.
Well, and that's something that, is great that, you do something like that, because there's so many people that are in need. But at the same time too, because of their pride, they may not want to ask, for something. And sometimes you have to kind of sort of read between the lines, with people that, may be in need. And it could be something real minor. I mean, it could be a pair of gloves. It could be some boots. It could be a hat, or something like that. And, and just the fact is that I know an organization I used to work for, we used to do the same thing. We would have some of the people that came through our program that we would find companies to sponsor families. And that may be something in terms of say that you could do through your organization. It could be through, you see advertised a lot of the law offices of certain people. I'm not going to give a plug for any of them, but, you may see a law office of someone. You may see a car dealership. You may see other groups, other organizations, other companies that may want to sponsor a family. And that's what we used to get. We used to get companies to sponsor families. And they love doing that. And they love just, having members of their organization, could be their law office or something like that, to come and watch the reactions of the children and the adults, the mothers and fathers and grandparents and aunts and uncles, when they would give Junior or give the young one a new bike or to get one of those gaming stations or something like that. And even to see them when they would go and get the little dolls or the stuffed animals, and just to see them and the smiles put on their faces. And, this is a time of giving, but it's also a time of reflection as to being thankful for the things that you have. And that's where it's that, the gift that keeps on giving and then giving and giving. And as you know, Kimberly, you have a beautiful smile, and you share it, oftentimes when I see you. And I'm sure that when other people see you, they get that same gift that I get, that others get. So it doesn't take much to put a smile on your face that in turn puts a smile on somebody else's face. And, and all ages can smile. But again, I know that when I leave from here, I'm going to put a smile on my face when I go over here to Unity Mission Church and get some of their catfish today. And I know it put a smile on my face before, and it's going to probably put a smile on my face, today, as well. But, and again, I do want to give a shout out to my friend. I think that she's probably gone through her surgical procedure, Cassie Amos. So I'm praying that everything was successful, with her surgical procedure, today. So our heartfelt prayers are with her as she, recovers from her surgical procedure. And then anyone else that's going through anything today, and we pray that, God will allow you to overcome whatever obstacles that may have befallen, in front of you. And we pray that you find either relief, assistance, or you find a safe haven, as a result of whatever's, come about. But I do want to thank you, Kimberly. I do want to thank Ken Scott for being a part of the show today. As always, I want to give a shout out and a thank you to our phenomenal engineer in the studio, Mr. Tim Smith. And, the thing is that, again, we want to thank the Watkins Broadcasting. And we want to also thank, RJ Watkins for allowing us to be a part of your couple hours here on Fridays. And we pray for Ms. Willis, and looking at justice for Mario. And we pray for, looking in terms of, say, Henry Tyler, for his family, and everyone else that's connected with the studio. We pray for everyone that has an opportunity to be a part of our viewing audience, and whatever they're going through, that we keep them lifted up in our heartfelt prayers. But this weather is going to get real nice next week, because I hear that the weather's going to be in the 50s next week. So we hope and pray that people have safe travels to and from their destinations. We know there's a lot of holiday parties that's going to be going on. It will probably take longer than the time that we have still on the air to go into some of the, parties that I know that are going on in organizations that I'm a part of, and probably, with you as well. But those that are going to the different parties throughout this holiday season, we pray that they have, traveling mercies upon their destination and then to and from their homes. So, in the closing minutes, I'll give some final words from you, Kimberly, in the closing minutes that we have. Give that information one last time in terms of, say, about if somebody would like to assist with your organization, with what you do, and with assisting some of the people that work with you. We want to give a shout out again to that organization, as well as your contact information.
Okay. For donors or partners, if you have a program that you feel would benefit working together and would answer to. So we look forward to both. So my phone number is 313-484-4709. One more time, 313-484-4709. And my email address is kimberly.cooley@tcbinc.org. Spelled out, that's KIMBERLY.COOLEY@TCB for the Community Builders Inc., short for Incorporated.org.
And
thank you for being here.
Oh, we thank you. We thank you again for being on the show with us today. You have been watching Truth to Power. I'm your host, Darwin Griffin. I appreciate my special guest, Kimberly Cooley, for being on the show, as well as Tim for being such a phenomenal engineer, and also for Ken Scott for being a part of the show today too. We look forward to seeing you next Friday, same place, same time. Have a great rest of the day.